Hi everyone, my name is Adarsh Mishra and you are watching Youth Nation Coders. Today we are going to solve one problem on CodeChef. So the title of our problem is Finding Square Roots, and the problem code for this particular problem is FSQRT, and this problem code I am going to provide you in description box. So what this question is all about: in olden days finding square roots seemed to be difficult, but nowadays it can be easily done using inbuilt functions available across many languages. Assume that you happen to hear the above words and you want to give it a try and to find out a square root of any given integer using inbuilt functions. So here's the chance. So this question is all about finding the square root of a particular number. So we don't have to apply the basic mathematical formula to calculate it. Otherwise, what we are going to do, we are going to solve it using inbuilt functions of our particular programming language. So if you are using Python language, then we have a SQRT function in the math module by which you can just find any number's square root. So what this question is giving us as an input: the first line of input contains an integer t, the number of test cases. So the first input will be number of test cases, means the number of queries, that how many numbers the question is going to provide us. T lines follow, each line containing an integer n whose square root needs to be computed. Simple. Then what we are going to give as output: for each line of input, output the square root of an input integer rounded down to nearest integer. This is important. First thing is we have to calculate the square root, and the second thing is we have to round it off up to the nearest integer, means we have to round it up to like we have to take a integer part of that, and it is asking us to print every output in a new line. So let us see that what the input is all about. So in this particular test case there are three test cases. The first one is 10. 10 means the square root of 10 is about 3.3 or something, and but we are not going to print 3.3 as output. We are going to provide the integer part of 3.3, means 3. We have to round it off up to nearest integer. Then, and what about 5? The square root of 5 is around 2 point something, so nearest integer is 2, and for this value 10,000, the square root is 100. So this is our task, to compute these square roots of the number of test cases. So the first thing which that computer is going to give us, or the question is providing us, is the number of test cases. So I'm going to take test cases as input. So I know that the number of test cases is integer value. Then what we are going to do, we are going to ask computer to provide us some integers according to this test case. So what we are going to do, we are going to use a while loop. While our test cases are greater than 0, then we need some integer value. So let us store that integer value in n. So n is equal to integer input. Every time the test this while loop will run, we are going to get a value, integer value, and it will be stored in n. Then what we are going to do, we have to use this value and we have to find the square root of it. So we have to use inbuilt function also. So what I am going to do, I am going to use math module import math. Then we know that in math module we used to get some SQRT functions. There are two functions for square root. First one is SQRT, second one is ISQRT. So SQRT provides us the floating point value of a particular number, floating point square root value, and ISQRT provides us integer square root value. So let me show you this thing in Python shell. If our number is 10, then if I will write here from math import sqrt comma isqrt, then if I will write sqrt of n, so it will give me around 3.16, a floating point value. But if I am going to write isqrt of n, then we are going to get only the integer part, that is 3. So we are going to use isqrt in this question, but isqrt is a direct function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide you a basic approach without using, we are going to use a sqrt function but not using isqrt function. So to get a square root, let us create a variable sqr. Then what we are going to do, we are asking our math module to provide us a function sqrt which will take our number as an input. Then What after this is going to give us a floating point value, but we have to convert this floating point value into uh, you can say into nearest integer. So let us calculate the floor value of this particular thing. So I have asked math module to provide us with floor function math.floor of this particular floating point value. Then we are going to convert it into integer value because the question is asking us for nearest integer. So SQRT will give us, if the value of n is 10, then SQRT is going to give us around 3.16 or something, and mat.floor will provide us the floor value of particular square root. So 3.16, the floor value of 3.16 is 3, and 3.0, I'm sorry, and the integer value will be 3.0 is will be converted to 3. So SQR will be 3, and we have to print this SQR. And every time we are solving a particular test case, then we have to reduce the number of test cases also. So test minus is equal to 1. This will be the solution. So let's see whether it works or not. So it is asking for input, and we are going to give him the input which is written in question here. So for this we are getting 3, 2 and 100 as output. So let's check. 3, 2 and 100 is the correct answer. So I think this question is solved now. And what I have done here, that I have used SQRT function and floor function. You can use ISQRT also, so there is no need to write this much of thing, and you can remove it, math.isqrt, and then you will get the same results, 3, 2 and 100. So that's all for this particular question, finding square roots. Click on these videos right here and be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.